Steve Coates with the Fly Guys in Edmonton. He joins us now with a look at this team that, Coatesy, they can't score. Is that accurate?
Very, very accurate. I mean, once again, they outshot the Calgary last night, but the game was basically, looking back at it now, was decided in the first period when they had an opportunity on a 5-minute major. They went the first 3 minutes of that 5-minute power play with absolutely nothing going on. I mean, it was not Calgary's ability to be able to kill penalties. It was the self-destruction of the power play. Then, to add insult to injury, another penalty was called on Calgary, allowing the Flyers to have a 5-on-3 for 2 minutes, and the same effect in that same circumstance as the Flyers came away with nothing. They could have put the Calgary Flames away, because on a 5-minute major, you don't get to pull that guy out when you score. It's just you just continue on as that penalty continues until it's done.
Yeah, and I heard you guys on the radio talking about really that was the turning point of the game. And this is a matchup between Philly and Calgary that there hasn't been a lot of power play opportunities. So when you got one, that was really the chance to wrestle that game away.
It was like right there. It was you just put your hand out and you could have grabbed it from them last night, because they certainly didn't act like a team that was playing at home in front of their home crowd and coming off a 5-0 loss to the Arizona Coyotes. It was there, and the Flyers just couldn't get to the net. They didn't do the things you need. You need to get dirty when you're struggling to score goals, and they didn't, I don't think, maybe once crashed the net on Elliott, and Elliott came up with the big saves because he didn't get a lot of traffic in front of him.
Yeah, we were just talking before you came on, Coatesy. Pete had mentioned that Wheel and Cousins were maybe the best two players on the ice, and I said, think about that statement. Wheel and Cousins, maybe your best two players. That's a problem, right?
Well, it's a good thing if you're looking at the fact that your young players are providing what you need. But if the combination of the two, if the big guns were going, then you'd really have something going, because your young guys would be, providing, and you get what you expect from the guns, and that wasn't happening. They had 11 shots on net. The Flyers had 33. So two guys had 33% of the shots on net. And Jordan Wheel, just in his second game up this year, he's been our best player the last two games.
Coatesy, how did you think Michael Neuvirth played last night? Because I know the final score ends up 3-1, but how much of that do you put on Neuvirth?
None. Zero zippo. I mean, first of all, he didn't get tested a heck of a lot. The first goal was one where it came from the point and it hit, whether it be a Flyer or an Edmonton Oiler on the way in, went on the Backlund right onto his stick by himself to the left of Neuvirth, and bang, he had Tkachuk right in front with a wide-open net. No way in the world that Neuvirth could have had any effect on that goal. And then the second goal, the same thing. No effect. It was just a matter of a mistake. Puck comes back to the point once again. Actually, it was the first time in the third period that the Calgary Flames actually had some type of push in the offensive zone, where they had a little work done behind the goal line, got the puck back to Brody. He took the shot. A lot of people in front, and Neuvirth never saw it. So the two goals certainly had no effect with the goaltender.
Wayne Simmons, after the game, said, "We're not scoring goals, but we're playing good hockey here." Do you agree with that statement?
Oh,
that's tough, right?
That's a hard one. I mean, it's easy to be critical, and might be a bit of a backseat driver, obviously, sitting up and watching it, but I just don't think there's any finish. I don't think that you don't score goals by, especially on goaltenders today, and Elliott was certainly hotter than a firecracker yesterday, so I don't think you get a lot of things done against a team like Calgary without going to the net, and it just wasn't there. And you got to we didn't have them east-west. We didn't have all the different things you need. You have to have all these different combinations to score goals. You're not going to score goals from the perimeter anymore.
Last night's game had a couple players in it that have been criticized in their markets. Johnny Gaudreau was actually demoted down to the fourth line. They put him back up to the first line because he wasn't doing enough on the defensive end of things, and he's a minus this year. And Shane Gostisbehere, of course, his trials and tribulations have been well documented. I guess they talked to Gaudreau, and he defended Gostisbehere and said you got to give the guy a chance. How do you assess both of those guys, specifically Gostisbehere too, and how he played last night?
numbers talk. I mean, right now, Gostisbehere is a -20.
Jeez.
It's a number that just kind of comes firing out at you. That means, for the people who don't know what plus minus is, the differential between goals for and goals against in a 5-on-5 situation. And that's the thing that kind of steers you in the direction of, well, he's struggling in his sophomore year. He's not the biggest guy in the world. He's got to learn how to use that size or lack of size to be able to steer people, angle them off. You don't have to hit them really hard, but you've got to be a little bit more responsible. So I think that he's in a learning curve right now. He's not providing the goals at the other end. Certainly something that he had on the power play last year. Missed shots continue to be a problem, but I don't find that that's something that I'm concerned about right now. I think that's just a phase that he's going through, and that'll all come back. And remember, if the team's struggling to score goals, it's very tough for one man to stand out and try to make it any different, because it's just a team thing. I always believe that, and that's what it is.
Flyers in a stretch right now. Steve Coates is with us, where they play 8 of their next 11 games on the road. And after last night, Coatesy, they're 10, 14, and 3 away from home. Isn't a hockey team supposed to bond and gel together when they go on these road trips? Why can't the Flyers have more success on the road?
Well, I mean, you're taking on coming out west is a hard thing. I mean, anytime you go out in the Western Conference, it's hard. And so you got Calgary out of the way last night, but now you got the Edmonton Oilers, which is a very improved team. I mean, if you're not a number one pick on this team, you got to feel pretty lonely. Everybody's a number one pick.
Yeah.
So, and you got probably one of the best players that's ever played the game in McDavid. He's unproven. I think, quite frankly, I call him McWhiner. I mean, I read it today in the paper, the Edmonton paper. They're building this Manning thing up, and it drives me absolutely crazy about Manning. I mean, McDavid comes out after that game in Philadelphia and says that, they all went after Manning because he tried to hurt him last year. He did not try to hurt him. It was an absolute accident. And McDavid won't take the truth and tell everybody. He still wants to blame Manning. He lost an edge going into the corner to be able to go to the goal, and he went firing into the boards. Manning had nothing to do with it. And everybody in hockey will tell you that. Well, except for Don Cherry. He probably stirred the pot by saying that Manning was a dirty player. But they're gearing it all up again today, that they got to go after Manning.
Yeah.
Give me a break. Stop. Just stop.
Well, one of the things that you watch when Pete talks about the road is, you get Giroux out there, and it seems like he's a different player on there. He's getting matched up because you get the second, you get the last change out there, and it seems that he's really just taken out of the game on the road.
He's got to start, yeah, that's probably part of it, but that whole line's got to provide more. I mean, he's the leader of the team. He's the captain of the team. And he'd probably be the first guy to tell you that he's got to – in fact, he did come out the other day. He's got to provide more. He's just not carrying the puck through the neutral zone like he used to. He's not darting to the spots. I mean, 19 of his 41 points are 5-on-5. That's not very good. And also, he's a -20 also, if I'm not mistaken, maybe -18. That's not a good number for a guy that is your highest-paid player. So he's got to be able to provide the leadership to get this thing turned around.
Yeah, and one thing is for sure, Coach, you probably, I would assume, agree, this is put up or shut up. I mean, right now, the percentages don't look good for them. They're going to have to go on some sort of almost a similar charge that they did last year because they're not catching the Rangers. They're going to be the 8-seed or else, or that's it.
Here's how you got to look at it. First of all, Vegas has them at 5% to be able to make the playoffs.
Yikes.
Now, you talk about a run. If you can put things together here and come out of nowhere after a slug, I mean, just an absolute awful game last night against Calgary, and come up with a win when you least expect it, and your goaltender's going to have to be your best player. There's a very, very talented hockey club up front for Edmonton. Then you could head into Vancouver with an opportunity to beat a Vancouver team that really doesn't know exactly what they are. Then you can start moving in the right direction, and at the same time, you have to pay attention not to the Metro Division. You've got to pay attention to the Atlantic Division because it's going to be a wild card because you're not going to catch Washington, New York Rangers, Pittsburgh, or Columbus. So it's going to be a fight for that second wild card position. So you got to pay attention to, if you're going to make it, you're going to, let's say, taking it for granted, you're going to beat the Islanders that are behind you, Carolina, New Jersey, all those teams that are behind you. Just assume that you can keep up You've got to be able to beat the Floridas of this world and for that last wild card position, and the Toronto Maple Leafs.
Buffalo's coming on. I think Tampa still has.
Buffalo. You can't take Buffalo out.
Yeah,
no.
and Tampa hasn't had a run yet either. It seems like they usually have something behind them. So we'll see how it all plays out. But tonight, last night was must. Tonight is must. And Tim Saunders and Steve Coates will have the call right here, 9 o'clock, 97.3 ESPN. Coatesy, I know you love Western Canada.
And Edmonton.
I do. I love Edmonton. I don't like this hotel. Oh, my goodness. But they got a brand new rink here. I'm excited to see it. They say it's absolutely spectacular.
Oh, yeah, that's right. What's that, the old Rexall Center up there?
The Northlands Coliseum is no more, right?
It was the Northlands Coliseum, then it was the Rexall. I thought it was very well. Rexall is a big drug company up here, and it looked like it could have used some drugs to make it look a little bit better. It was an awful place. But they say this is really the real deal. It's downtown. And so I'm looking forward to seeing it tonight.
And it's not Brooklyn, so we know that you'll enjoy the rink at least.
Oh my goodness! Did you see the threatening to leave?
Yeah, we've been talking about that.
And well, it's Western Canada. They probably have the best ice up there. You know, that's all they got is ice.
Should be a clean sheet.
All right, Coatesy. We'll be listening tonight. Take care, pal.
Care.
All right, see you, Coatesy. Thank you.
Inside Coates's Corner.